What I would love is to find out, or actually have you talk about what the seas are talking about now and what they're saying about the future, and what, if anything, they're saying about 2012.
Well, the seas led us through a whole learning process where we learned a great deal about pathology and humanity. We had to actually go through certain experiences before some of the things that they said to us could even be taken on board. For example, one of the things that they say is that there are human-looking beings who do not have souls, as we understand them, as individuated souls, that they are basically animated by the equivalent of an animal soul that goes back into a soul pool, when the body dies. And this, of course, really explains one of the problems that's plagued human beings for millennia, that there are people who are really convinced they have a soul and people who declare that it does not exist. Well, what if they're both right? What if the people who really know that they have a soul and really believe in the existence of the soul are those who have one, and those who simply cannot ever under any circumstances conceive of such a thing or believe in such a thing or see evidence for such a thing or have experiences of consciousness that is not directly connected to a physical body, maybe they're telling the truth. And this is a really big conflict among human beings. So there is a form of this aberration, or this, you can't even call it an aberration, because if that's what is existing on the planet, if there are soul beings and non-soul beings, that's just what is. But there is a defective version of the non-soul being, which is what we have come to know as the psychopath. Our definition of the psychopath is really specific. It's a genetic thing. You're born that way. It's not something that you acquire or get. And it's also not something that necessarily anybody can see from outside behaviors. You may have to interact with an individual for a very long period of time before you come to realize that they have no conscience and that they simply will do everything they do to further their own ends, and that nobody and no thing else ever turns them from what they want to do, their immediate gratification. And I'm sure everyone has had somebody like that in their life and in their experience. But the bad thing about it is that these kinds of people tend, because of their nature, to rise into positions of power also, just as there are the ordinary garden variety sort that, just live out their lives as parasites on other people. So that was the first thing that we had to learn about.
Right.